Barbados' fiscal adjustment efforts, particularly rebuilding the foreign reserves after a steep drop last year, appear to be bearing fruit. Central Bank Governor Dr. Delisle Worrell gave a hint about the recovery at the Barbados Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors meeting at the Lord Erskine Sandiford Centre. He says the island has been making continuous adjustments since last September, when reserves dropped as low as 13 weeks. The governor says the situation forced the government to do some borrowing, which brought them back up to 15 weeks in December.
We continue to fortify the adjustment measures as recently as this week with the estimates and the further adjustments that are taking place in the estimates, with a view to stabilizing the inflows and outflows. And, you know, we keep on doing it until it stabilizes. And, you know, finally it seems that we are there or thereabouts.
Dr. Worrell insists that Barbados' recovery has to be based on increasing productivity and improving the quality of goods and services. He says people will always support the island if its products are clearly recognized as being better than the competition's.
You know that in many aspects we are falling down. And it is hard to understand because the same people who are giving the indifferent service, who are failing to meet quality standards and so on, when they're working in Barbados, when they go to New York, is a different story. When they go to London, it's a different story. You find them in Hong Kong, all over the place, doing extraordinary things. And we have to insist on the same standards and the same quality for how we do things in Barbados.
Social Care Minister Steve Blackett has announced his vision to address issues facing the elderly and people living with HIV. Implementing a national policy on aging and a new national strategic framework for HIV 2014 to 2018 are among 6 areas of focus which he says his ministry will be targeting over the next 12 months. His comments came as the estimates debate shifted this afternoon to the Ministry of Social Care, which has been allocated $65 million to carry out its mandate.
Also, to continue steps towards the ratification of the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, to develop a 5-year strategic plan on child care, to formulate and implement a national policy on gender, and also to pursue the development of vibrant communities across the length and breadth of Barbados.
And as far as community development is concerned, he told the House that training in a number of disciplines will be made available at several community centres across the island to help retrain former public servants. An opposition MP says there are too many unemployed people within the disabled community. And according to Edmund Hinkson, it's more glaring when it relates to the public service. And now the MP for St. James North wants government to develop a policy to rectify the situation.
Government, and when I say government now, I'm not being politically partisan because it is both political parties have a poor track record in employing persons with disabilities. And there are very few people with disabilities employed in government. Jamaica, for example, has a quota of 3% of all persons employed in the public service reserved for persons with disabilities.
Member of Parliament for St. John, Mara Thompson, has accused the opposition of misrepresenting already publicized information about the St. John Polyclinic. Ms. Thompson says 2 years ago she spoke about an expanded role for the facility to serve the entire eastern side of the island.
It will house a polyclinic which will be equipped with an ambulance bay, pharmacy, laboratory, rehabilitation therapy, family planning services, antenatal and postnatal care, a nutrition department, and it will also house a weight room, an aerobics room, an audiovisual center, the library, the welfare department, the constituency council's office, an information technology room, facilities for the health inspectorate.
Ms. Thompson was responding to opposition St. James Central MP Kerry Simmons' criticism about cost overruns at the polyclinic. Mr. Simmons charged that the cost of the facility was set to rise about 90% over the original $16 million budgeted.
That's not to say that we are not glad that they have expanded upon the additional plan, though they did not come to the country and tell us about the library and everything else that I talked about yesterday evening, and I will not go over that again, sir. But there is a core issue, and beyond that core issue, Mr. Chairman, is that the estimates are still silent on fundamentals. The provision for the additional staff that would have to be employed to provide for the expanded services that are now being contemplated and promised for the polyclinic. I think that this side don't want the people of St. John to benefit from the polyclinic.
The diesel subsidy to public service vehicles and the Transport Board, which was established nearly 6 years ago as a price offset and excise tax waiver, will be discontinued from April the 1st. This was revealed in a statement issued today by the Ministry of the Energy. It indicated that public service vehicles and the Transport Board will now have to purchase diesel inclusive of excise tax. In addition, the Transport Board will no longer be used as a fueling facility for PSVs. Meanwhile, the Ministry has pointed out that the excise tax waiver, which is applicable to manufacturers, farmers and fishermen, will remain in place. The diesel subsidy was established by Cabinet on May 22, 2008 as a shield for the productive and transport sectors. That subsidy included a waiver of excise tax and a price offset of 7.906 cents per litre, which took effect from June 1, 2008. Well, scores of friends, family and supporters filed through the Barbados Labour Party's Roebuck Street headquarters this afternoon to view the body of late parliamentarian Lionel Craig. Mr. Craig, a former Minister of Housing in the BLP administration between 1976 and 1981, died at the age of 85 on Sunday, March the 9th at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. His widow Tracy and daughter Leslie were comforted by several people throughout the afternoon. Opposition leader Mia Mottley and General Secretary of the BLP, Senator Dr. Jerome Walcott, also gave reassuring words of comfort to the grieving family. Former parliamentarians Sir Henry Ford and Nigel Barrow were among the stalwarts who viewed the body and signed the condolence book.
Well, he was a very great friend of mine, and I know, I mean, I used to see him at least once a week, and usually more than that. And I think it's a great loss.
Mr. Craig will be laid to rest tomorrow morning following a 10 o'clock service of appreciation at the St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Cathedral at Gemmett's Lane, St. Michael. The Grantley Adams International Airport is to benefit from a $357,200 US loan from the Caribbean Development Bank. The loan, approved by the Board of Directors of the CDB, will be used for a study to assess the current and future needs and the type of infrastructure needed to create a world-class facility. The study will also focus on security considerations to applicable international standards for both operation and physical infrastructure, developing and presenting physical development options, and a gap analysis of existing operations and physical infrastructure. Traffic Warden Cynthia Taylor has been recognized for more than 20 years of service at the busy intersection of Gills Road and White Park Road into King Street in the city. Ms. Taylor, also known as Ordine, was presented with the award by MP for St. Michael West and Speaker of the House of Assembly Michael Carrington at the pedestrian crossing where she has guided students of the Wesley Hall Infants and Junior Schools across the street for several years. The principal of the schools, Sylvia Scanterbury, was also on hand to witness the handover of the award. The initiative came from the Buvaro Debt Collecting Agency headed by Alionter Buvaro, who indicated that Ms. Taylor's contribution to the community is immeasurable.
if the captain warnings are respected and they have some care to know that what is happening to them, that our children are being protected by them, that they are on the road on mornings and on evenings when they could to be able to be protected by the traffic, from the traffic, so that they will have a good livelihood.
Meanwhile, Mr. Carrington described Ms. Taylor's award as timely.
That we shouldn't wait until something happens to look at these things. The fact remains that the whole question of how we use the road, the whole question of how we regulate traffic, the whole question of how we keep our pedestrians, including our children, safe, is something that should occupy our attention constantly.
Today is World Down Syndrome Day, and there is a call for an end to discrimination against people with the condition. It's come from spokesperson for the Barbados Down Syndrome Support Group, Asha Aline Renwick.
I think people need to move past the physical appearance of Down syndrome, which can come with certain physical characteristics, and get to recognize that individuals with Down syndrome have a lot to offer. I don't like to use stereotypes, but individuals with Down syndrome tend to be very friendly. They're very loving and supportive individuals. And once you get to know someone with Down syndrome, I always challenge people, especially today on World Down Syndrome Day, get to know someone with Down syndrome. Say hi, and I'm sure you'll be surprised at the response that you may get.